So, I went to go see Gravity. It's directed by a Mexican filmmaker named Alfonso Cuarón. Now, he's notable for a couple films, like Children of Men, Y Tu Mama Tambien, and Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, it stars Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, and pretty much no one else. There's some notable voices in there, but really the only two people we see are Sandra Bullock and George Clooney. And it's built around two main ideas. One, space is a beautiful, beautiful place. There's no doubt about it. And two, it's an absolutely terrifying, terrifying place for humans to be. So, the basic setup for this film is pretty simple. A little cliche, honestly, when you think about it. Sandra Bullock's character is not normally an astronaut. She's a researcher. She's just developed this piece of equipment that needs to be installed on the Hubble Space Telescope. And so she's given a very limited amount of training and sent up on this mission, which is led by George Clooney's Matt Kowalski. Now, he's a longtime veteran. It's his last space flight. He's really upset that he's not going to be able to beat the record for the longest spacewalk. So, yeah, you can see where this is going immediately, even if you haven't seen the trailers. And all of a sudden, this debris field happens. I'm not going to really spoil why, but it basically wipes out all the satellites around Earth, destroys the space shuttle, kills everyone except for Kowalski and Stone. And so they're left stuck in space with no communication with Earth, and possibly no way back to Earth except for the possibility of the remaining space stations. So there you go, that's the movie. It's do they survive or not? Initially I was worried that Gravity would just be another one of those small group of people or individuals separated from the rest of humanity sort of films, like Buried, except it'd be in space. If you never saw Buried, by the way, it's literally a man buried alive in a coffin with nothing but a Zippo lighter, a cell phone, and a snake for the entire runtime. Now, Gravity is similar to the rest of his films, but there are a couple things that really make it stand out. Most notably, the performances in Gravity are really spectacular. Sandra Bullock in particular really sells her character. You really believe that she is Ryan Stone and she's in the situation. It really adds a level of credence to the whole thing. Now, some of those other sort of separated from humanity movies, they have some fantastic scenes of nature and oceans and forests, but for my money, scenes from space I find absolutely breathtaking. The whole sunrise from space and star fields, there's just something about them that I really love. And the effects work here is just, and not to overuse this word, but it's just spectacular. Really, this film is going to be up for visual effects awards all over the place. It's just a beautiful, beautiful movie. And if that's your thing, it's well worth watching just for that alone. Now, no movie's perfect, and Gravity's no exception. And really, the problem with Gravity is kind of a problem that I have with this type of movie in general. They tend to be overly manipulative, which is really unfortunate. It's not enough to have the horrible events and deal on that sort of sense of isolation and what's going on with the film. It has to really delve into these things that are just solely designed to give you that emotional punch later on. Like, you have to see the body of the dead person holding the family in their hands, or the picture of the family in their hands, or you have to have the people, one of them obviously has to have a child, or things like that. And it happens in movies all the time, I know that, but for some reason this sort of movie, it's kind of the bread and butter for this sort of film. It goes really heavily into those sorts of things. And I just always find it a little bit much, and it kind of takes me out of the enjoyment to an extent. All in all, I'd have to say that Gravity is well worth watching. The visuals are just spectacular. I don't know how they did the weightless scenes, but it doesn't look fake, and I know they didn't do the bit that they did in Apollo 13 where they sent them up in the plane and then did the nosedives to actually film people in weightlessness. They didn't do that here. Sandra Bullock and George Clooney's performances are just spot on. Very impressive work from the both of them. And it may be a little bit emotionally manipulative for some folks, and at times it can be a little bit slow, but there is enough action in there to really draw people back in, so hopefully that will offset it for other folks. But if you enjoyed it, please let me know, and if you thought it was just a horrible film, I also want to know that, folks. So until next time, enjoy film.